Once again, welcome you all. This is the PPT for 2nd MA English for the semester 3. Title of the paper is Fiction 2. This is also the continuation of the novel Great Expectations written by Charles Dickens, presented by G. Devasena. Already we have seen up to 26th chapter from this novel in the last 3 PowerPoint presentations. Now we have to see from the 27th chapter in this PPT. In the last 26th chapter, we have seen the boyhood life of Pip and his struggled. But from this chapter 27, we have to see the London life, stylish life of Pip and his matured character in this PPT. Chapter 27. Pip receives a letter from Biddy telling him that Joe would like to come and visit him in London. Then his sister is still sick. Joe arrives the next day and is thrilled to see Pip. Though he is really uncomfortable in Pip's apartment amid all the finery. Joe won't shake Herbert's hand because he is too much of a gentleman. Instead, Joe bows his head a little bit to Herbert. Pip is not really helping this whole situation. Joe tells Pip that Mr. Whoopsley has left the church to become an actor in London. He and Mr. Whoopsley went to check out a blacking factory a day before, and Joe didn't think it was nearly as cool as the pictures made it look. Pip is totally calm, but at the same time, he can't understand why Joe keeps calling him Sir. Apparently, Mr. Pumblechook is taking credit all over the town for Pip's fortune and is telling everyone that he and Pip were and are the best friends. Finally, Joe tells Pip the reasons for the visit, that Miss Havisham asked Joe to visit Pip, that Estella wants to see him. Pip suddenly feels much better and he wishes he had known that this is only the reason for Joe's visit all along. Joe gets ready to move from there. Life has taken them in two different directions, says Joe to Pip. Chapter 28. Pip leaves the next day to see Estella and to apologize to Joe for how he treated him. However, he convinces himself that it would be better to stay at the Blueberry Inn instead of the house of Joe. The journey to Native is pretty much by the carriage ride. There are two convicts in the carriage who accompany with the carriage rider. One of the convicts is the very same man who gave him the £2 for all those many years ago at the Three Jolly Bodgemen. Pip has to sit right side in front of the convict. He tells his old story of giving him a £2 note to a little boy in the Mosh country many years ago. Pip realizes that he is relating the exact same story. Pip is freaked out that the convict is going to recognize him, but that is highly unlike one. So Pip jumps to the another carriage at the next stop. When Pip reaches the Blueberry Inn, there is everyone recognize him as the young man for whom Mr. Pumblechook is responsible. Chapter 29. Pip is totally excited that he gets to see Estella today. He decides to go for a walk before he visits Miss Havisham. On the way to Sutty's Manor, he says that only name Estella in his mind. He loves her with all of his being and against his better judgment. He knows that she is tough, moody, and cold, but he can't help himself because of he has totally drawn to her. Pip thinks that Miss Havisham wants to throw the two lovebirds together so that they will bring warmth and light to her dreary, scary Satismana. Pip knocks at Miss Havisham's gate, and there is Orlick, the new bully gatekeeper who used to work in Joe's food. Then Pip finds Miss Havisham sitting in her room. There is also beautiful Estella, all grown up and ladylike but much pretty. Just like that, Pip feels like an awkward little boy again and resolves to reject his family all over again. Estella and Pip go for a walk in the garden, but it doesn't go well for Pip because Estella can't remember any of the stories that he tells her about their encounters when they were little. Estella rolls her eyes at the dumb boy, and then the two of them see a ghost in the brewery. It was a strange moment, he tells her. Now, Pip is totally convinced that he's meant to marry Estella. Then they go back inside. Estella leaves him to get ready for dinner, and Miss Havisham demands him to love Estella. Miss Havisham tells Pip that she has brought up Estella to be loved by others and to break men's hearts. Jaggers visit there. Pip, Jaggers, and Estella play cards. Miss Havisham asks Pip to escort Estella from London to Richmond when she comes to town in the next few weeks. Then Pip goes to bed and proposing his love to an imaginary Estella. He realizes that he can never go back to Joe now. Chapter 30. In the next morning, Pip tells Jaggers that Orlick is one rotten cookie, and Jaggers promises to have Orlick fired at once. Then he is getting ready to London. Pip feels totally dejected. When Pip reaches home, he says about Estella at first to Herbert about how much he loves Estella. Herbert tries to reassure Pip, but he also tells him that he doesn't think that Estella is destined for Pip and that Miss Havisham doesn't plan to hook them up. This derails Pip completely. Then Herbert tells Pip he is in love with a girl named Clara and that he will marry her. Herbert thinks it is a great career in his life. Chapter 31. Pip and Herbert go to the theatre. There, Mr. Wopsley is playing of Hamlet from Shakespeare's Hamlet. Pip and Herbert try to give Mr. Wopsley a standing ovation, but not did. A man takes them to Mr. Wopsley's dressing room. There, Mr. Wopsley, now in the name of Mr. Waldengarver, he asked them what they thought of the production. Herbert responds so capitally, sir, but Pip stands speechless. Then he mimics Herbert's reply so capitally. They try to compliment Mr. Opsley. Both of them return to home. At night, Pip has some seriously twisted dreams. In his dream, he proposes to Clara that he plays the role of Hamlet in front of 20,000 people and he forgets his lines to speak. Miss Havisham acts as the mother of Hamlet. Chapter 32. Estella sends a note to Pip that directs him to meet her coach in London. He arrives early and sees Wemmick on the way to Newgate prison. Wemmick takes Pip on a quick tour of a miserable Newgate prison. Pip is very uncomfortable, but Wemmick commends to the group of prisoners and he introduces a man who has been going to sentenced to hang and imbibing Pip with a greater sense of Jagger's abilities. Pip is somewhat comforted when he meets Estella's coach. In this chapter, Dickens exposes his own feelings that people, those who are unable to pay their debts, are put into the prison, as was Dickens' father. Dickens remembers it here. Chapter 33. Estella comes to town and dressed in fur from head to toe, and Pip is totally entranced. If Estella told him to jump off a bridge, he would do it. If she told him to eat the firecrackers, he would do it. Both of them ride in a carriage to her new home, and she has paid for everything. Apparently, the Pockets write incriminating letters about Pip to Miss Havisham. She loves that. Pip makes them jealous. There is nothing anyone can say in the world that would taint Miss Havisham's opinion on him. Estella wants to take a break in London before reach her new home. Pip fully realizes that Estella has had a messed up childhood. There is a little romance between them. Estella is about as moved as a statue. Then they get on the carriage and embark upon their journey. Estella tells Pip that Miss Havisham is paying a rich friend to take care of her. Pip takes her to Richmond and returning to Hammersmith. They say goodbye on her new doorstep, and Estella is welcomed by her new maids in the new house. Pip is heartbroken when he leaves her. Chapter 34. Pip can't stop his thinking about Estella. He even wishes he'd never met Miss Havisham so could be working in the forge with Joe this very minute. Without all these anxieties and worries, Pip is living the life of a London playboy. The debts are piling high, and what's worse is that he's had a negative influence on Herbert, his best friend in this world. If he weren't Pip's friend, he wouldn't be drawn to their high life and he wouldn't be spending so much money. Pip arranges the bills for Herbert and he feels like he has helped his good friend. At that time, a paper slipped through his door. Pip opens it and reads that his sister, Mrs. Joe, has died and that her funeral will be on Monday. Thank you. We will see the remaining chapters in the next PPT. Okay, thank you.